Imagine this: you're sitting across from someone who holds your heart in their hands. Every word you say feels like a step closer to connection or a step into uncertainty. Yet deep down, there's a question that gnaws at you: what should I leave unsaid? C.S. Lewis once remarked, "The unguarded heart is like an open city." Vulnerable to invasion, his wisdom reminds us that some truths, when laid bare, can weaken rather than strengthen the bonds we seek to build. In the delicate dance of relationships, there are things women must guard: words and truths that, when shared too freely, can shift the dynamics in ways they never expected. But this isn't about deception or games. It's about understanding the profound power of privacy, the strength in mystery, and the grace in discernment. Because while honesty is a cornerstone of trust, wisdom is the architect of lasting connection. Today we're diving deep into the 7 things women should never reveal to men, 7 truths that, if held close, protect not only your dignity but the very foundation of mutual respect. Whether you felt the sting of oversharing or the burden of regret, this journey will not only resonate but guide you toward clarity and confidence in your relationships. Let me ask you this: have you ever shared something in the heat of vulnerability, only to feel misunderstood or judged? That fleeting moment, where transparency turned into tension, stays with you, doesn't it? You're not alone. It's a shared human experience, one that Lewis's insights illuminate with clarity and compassion. By the end of this, you'll understand not just what to keep private, but why it matters, why holding back isn't withholding love, but protecting it. So, take a deep breath, and let's uncover these timeless truths together. Think about the last time you opened up to someone. Perhaps it was a moment of trust, a leap of faith to reveal something personal. Did it bring you closer together? Or did it shift the dynamic in a way you didn't anticipate? Relationships, as C.S. Lewis reminds us, are built not only on love but on respect and understanding. And yet, they're fragile, vulnerable to words spoken too soon or truths shared without reflection. Let's begin by addressing the heart of the matter. Why does this happen? Why do some conversations strengthen bonds while others unravel them? The answer lies in the delicate balance between vulnerability and discernment. Lewis believed that relationships thrive when nurtured with care, and part of that care is knowing what to withhold, not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Here's an analogy: imagine your inner world as a garden. Some parts are ready to be seen: the blooming flowers, the perfectly trimmed hedges. But deeper within, there are tender saplings, still fragile, not yet strong enough to withstand scrutiny. Sharing too much, too soon, is like inviting someone into your garden and asking them to judge its beauty before it's fully grown. Take Jane, for instance. She was in a budding relationship and felt a deep connection. One evening, in a moment of openness, she shared her insecurities about her past, details of mistakes she had long overcome but still carried shame about. Her partner listened, but something shifted. The warmth in his eyes seemed clouded by judgment, even if he didn't mean it. Their dynamic changed, not because Jane's story wasn't worth sharing, but because the timing wasn't right. History offers its own cautionary tales. Consider Cleopatra, whose allure wasn't just her beauty or power, but her enigmatic nature. She revealed parts of herself strategically, building intrigue and respect. Her relationship with Julius Caesar wasn't forged on oversharing but on mutual admiration and the mystery she maintained. It's a reminder that holding back isn't about manipulation, it's about self-respect. Now let's confront a common misconception: does privacy mean dishonesty? Absolutely not. Privacy is the art of revealing yourself at the right time, in the right measure, to the right person. C.S. Lewis often spoke of how love is a blend of truth and patience. Love doesn't demand immediate access to every corner of your heart. Instead, it grows as trust deepens. Here's another example. Think of Sarah, a woman who had just started dating someone she admired. In her eagerness to connect, she shared her every thought, her fears about the future, her family struggles, even her financial anxieties. While her partner initially appreciated her openness, over time it became overwhelming. He felt more like her therapist than her equal. The relationship dissolved, not because Sarah wasn't lovable, but because she didn't allow their connection to build naturally. Lewis would argue that part of love's beauty is its mystery. He wrote, "We meet no ordinary people in our lives. Every person is extraordinary in their own way. But that extraordinariness unfolds gradually, like chapters in a book. Imagine picking up a novel and skipping to the last page. Would the story hold the same power?" Let's dig deeper. What happens when we overshare? Sometimes it stems from a desire for validation, a hope that someone else's acceptance will soothe our doubts. But the truth is, no one can validate us into wholeness. That's a journey we must take ourselves. Oversharing can also be a defense mechanism, a way to preemptively control how someone sees us. Here's where Lewis's guidance becomes profound. He believed that true connection isn't about showing all your cards, it's about playing the game with integrity and intention. It's about knowing that some parts of your story are sacred and deserve to be shared only with those who've earned your trust. Think of the friendships or relationships you admire most. Chances are, they didn't rush into vulnerability. They allowed space for trust to grow organically. This doesn't mean you should hide who you are, it means you should value who you are enough to share yourself thoughtfully. Imagine this: you're building a bridge between yourself and someone else. Every shared truth is like a plank in that bridge. If you lay down too many planks without anchoring them securely, the bridge may collapse. But if you take your time, ensuring each plank is steady, you create something that can withstand the weight of real connection. Lewis himself was no stranger to vulnerability. His deep friendships and his love for Joy Davidman, his wife, were built on mutual respect and a profound understanding of timing. He didn't rush to reveal his every thought or fear, but allowed their bond to grow through shared experiences and trust. So, how do we navigate this delicate balance? It starts with self-awareness. Before sharing something personal, ask yourself, why am I sharing this? Is it for connection, or is it seeking validation? Is this the right time, and is this the right person to share it with? And remember, discernment isn't about building walls, it's about opening doors slowly, with intention. When you approach relationships with this mindset, you not only protect your heart, but also create a space where love can flourish naturally, without pressure or fear. As we move forward, we'll uncover the 7 specific things women should keep, private truths that, when guarded, not only preserve dignity but also strengthen the bonds of respect and love. As we delve deeper into this journey, it's time to confront the unspoken truths that often lie hidden beneath the surface of relationships. The truths we guard, the ones we hesitate to share, don't just shape our connections, they define them. But why is it that some secrets feel heavier than others? Why do some moments of vulnerability feel empowering, while others leave us feeling exposed? To answer that, let's return to the wisdom of C.S. Lewis. He once said, "To love at all is to be vulnerable," yet he also warned against wearing our hearts on our sleeves for all to see. Vulnerability, when mismanaged, can erode trust rather than build it. This paradox is what makes relationships so complex and so deeply human. Imagine you're sitting in a quiet cafe, speaking with someone you care about. The air is thick with unspoken words. You feel the pull to share something deeply personal, perhaps a past mistake or an unresolved fear. And in that moment, a choice presents itself: do I reveal this now? Or is it better kept within until the time is right? Let's start with a real-life example. Emily had always been an open book. She believed honesty was the foundation of any strong relationship. Early in her marriage, she shared every thought, every insecurity with her husband. She thought this level of openness would bring them closer. Instead, it created an emotional imbalance. Her husband began to feel like he was responsible for her every worry, every doubt. Their relationship, once light and joyful, grew heavy with unspoken tension. This isn't to say that honesty is wrong. Rather, it's about timing and context. There's wisdom in gradual revelation, allowing someone to earn the right to hear your most sacred truths. Lewis believed that trust is not given freely but built brick by brick. Sharing too much too soon can overwhelm the foundation, causing it to crack under the weight. History, too, teaches us this lesson. Think of Anne Boleyn, the enigmatic queen who captured the heart of Henry VIII. Anne was a master of measured vulnerability. She revealed parts of herself strategically, maintaining an air of mystery that intrigued and captivated. Her ability to hold back certain truths wasn't deceit, it was discernment. It's a lesson for all of us sometimes. What you don't say can be as powerful as what you do. But let's not mistake this for playing games. There's a difference between manipulation and mindfulness. Consider a modern analogy: social media. We live in an age where oversharing is the norm, where every thought, every feeling is broadcasted for the world to see. And yet, how often does this constant transparency leave us feeling more disconnected? Sometimes the most meaningful connections are those forged in moments of privacy, away from the prying eyes of the world. Let's introduce a new layer of conflict: the fear of being misunderstood. For many, the hesitation to share certain truths isn't about mistrust, it's about the fear that those truths will be misinterpreted. Take Carla, for instance. She struggled with anxiety, a challenge she had worked hard to manage. Early in her relationship, she considered sharing this part of her life, but worried it might be seen as a weakness. Instead, she waited until her partner had demonstrated empathy and understanding. When she finally opened up, the conversation brought them closer, not because of the truth itself, but because of the trust they had built leading up to it. Lewis's writings often highlight the importance of empathy in relationships. He argued that true love requires seeing another person fully, not just their strengths, but their struggles. Yet, this vision takes time to develop. Rushing it can lead to shallow connections rather than the deep, enduring bonds we seek. Now let's weave in a bit of mystery. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to command respect without saying much at all? They carry an air of self-assurance, a quiet confidence that draws others in. This isn't about withholding, it's about understanding that silence can speak volumes. It's about knowing that some truths, when revealed too soon, lose their power. Think of it like this: every relationship is a puzzle. Each piece represents a part of who you are. The beauty of a puzzle is that it unfolds gradually, each piece fitting into place over time. If you dump all the pieces on the table at once, the picture becomes overwhelming, even chaotic. But when you allow the pieces to emerge naturally, the image that forms is both clear and captivating. This brings us to the heart of the matter. Discernment isn't just about protecting yourself, it's about honoring the relationship. It's about creating a space where both partners feel safe to be themselves, free from judgment or pressure. Let's turn to another historical example: Eleanor Roosevelt. Known for her wisdom and strength, Eleanor understood the power of measured vulnerability. She was open about her beliefs and struggles, but she also knew when to hold back. Her ability to navigate this balance earned her respect and admiration. both in her personal relationships and on the world stage. Finally, let's circle back to the idea of delayed resolution. Think of a great story, a novel, a film, or even a personal anecdote. What makes it compelling? Often, it's the suspense, the gradual unveiling of the narrative. Relationships are no different. When we reveal ourselves all at once, we rob the other person of the joy of discovery. As we approach the big reveal, the 7 truths women should never tell a man, consider this. It's not just about what you keep private. It's about how you choose to reveal yourself piece by piece, with intention and care. It's about understanding that your story is a gift, one that deserves to be shared with those who truly value it. As we now approach the heart of this journey, let's unveil what lies beneath the layers of discernment and timing. Relationships are a dynamic exchange of trust, respect, and love, but they're also a careful balancing act. Sharing too little creates distance. Sharing too much too soon can create cracks in the foundation. And this is where the wisdom of C.S. Lewis comes alive. Lewis believed that love thrives in the tension between intimacy and mystery. He once wrote, "Love is not an affectionate feeling but a steady wish for the loved person's ultimate good as far as it can be obtained. To wish for another's good means knowing when to speak and when silence serves better." But how does this translate into the 7 truths women must keep private? Let's dive deeper. Imagine walking into a room with a treasure chest. Inside are your most personal thoughts, fears, and experiences, things that define you but also leave you vulnerable. Not everyone who enters your life deserves a key to that chest. And this isn't about arrogance, it's about wisdom. Consider Rachel, a bright and ambitious woman who had worked hard to overcome a troubled past. Early in her relationship with Mark, she felt an urge to share her story, every detail of her struggles, from financial hardships to family conflict. She believed that by laying everything bare, she'd foster connection. But instead, Mark began to view her through the lens of her struggles rather than her strength. The relationship suffered, not because Rachel's past was shameful, but because she gave away too much of her treasure without ensuring it would be valued. Now let's examine this idea through the lens of history. Think of Marie Curie, the pioneering scientist who broke barriers in a male-dominated world. Curie was known not just for her brilliance but for her reserved nature. She shared her struggles selectively, allowing her work and resilience to speak for her. It wasn't secrecy, it was strategy. Her ability to control her narrative earned her respect, not just admiration. This leads us to an important realization: timing is everything. Sharing a private truth prematurely is like serving an unripe fruit. It may be sweet eventually, but in the wrong moment, it's bitter. But let's not mistake discretion for dishonesty. In fact, one of the greatest acts of love is protecting the sacred parts of yourself until the time is right. C.S. Lewis often emphasized the importance of safeguarding one's dignity within relationships. Love, he argued, isn't a demand for complete exposure but an invitation to grow together in mutual respect. Let's pause for a moment and explore a relatable analogy. Think of trust as a bank account. Each shared truth is a deposit, strengthening the balance. But oversharing can feel like an overdraft or withdrawal that leaves the account empty and strained. Consider another example. Rebecca was in a committed relationship when she decided to share her fears about her career aspirations. She worried her partner might not support her ambition to pursue a competitive field. Instead of framing her concerns as a collaborative conversation, she laid them out as a list of insecurities. Her partner, unprepared for the emotional weight, responded defensively. The conversation spiraled, not because her fears were invalid, but because they weren't introduced with care. Now let's introduce another layer of intrigue: the power of holding back. Have you ever noticed how some people seem effortlessly captivating, They don't rush to fill silences or reveal everything about themselves. Instead, they create curiosity, a magnetic pull that keeps others engaged. This isn't about playing games, it's about honoring the natural rhythm of connection. Think of the Mona Lisa, one of the most famous works of art in history. Part of its allure lies in what's unsaid, the enigmatic smile, the subtlety of expression. In relationships, leaving room for mystery can evoke a similar sense of wonder. When we reveal everything at once, we rob the other person of the joy of discovery. Let's explore another historical example, Queen Elizabeth I. Known as the Virgin, Queen Elizabeth masterfully balanced openness and secrecy. She shared enough to command loyalty and respect, but kept her private life carefully guarded. This wasn't an act of manipulation, it was a strategy of self-preservation in a world that often sought to diminish her power. And yet, the tension between openness and restraint isn't always easy to navigate. Let's revisit a story from earlier, Carla, who struggled with anxiety. Her decision to wait until her partner had shown empathy before sharing her struggles wasn't just wise, it was transformative. When she finally opened up, her partner responded with understanding and support. The difference wasn't the truth itself, but the timing of its revelation. As we peel back the layers, it's clear that discernment isn't about building walls, it's about building bridges. It's about creating a pathway where trust can flourish naturally, without forcing vulnerability before it's ready. Let's consider another analogy. Relationships are like a symphony. Each note, each pause contributes to the beauty of the whole. If all the instruments play at once, the music becomes chaotic. But when each part enters in harmony, the result is breathtaking. Sharing personal truths works the same way. It's about knowing when to play your note and when to wait. As we move toward the conclusion of this discussion, let's reflect on one final historical figure, Helen Keller. Despite the incredible challenges she faced, Keller shared her story with courage and intention. She didn't allow her struggles to define her, but instead used them to inspire others. Her example teaches us that vulnerability, when paired with wisdom, can be a source of strength rather than weakness. Finally, let's circle back to the heart of C.S. Lewis's wisdom. Love is not about demanding access to another person's soul. It's about earning the privilege of seeing them fully in their own time. It's about creating a space where both partners feel safe, valued, and respected. As we prepare for the final segment, the big reveal, remember this: your story is a masterpiece, one that deserves to be shared with care and intention. And when you approach your relationships with this mindset, you don't just protect your heart, you create the conditions for love to grow in its truest, most beautiful form. As we arrive at the end of this journey, there's a profound truth that must not be overlooked. Love, trust, and vulnerability are not destinations but ongoing journeys. The wisdom we've explored from C.S. Lewis reminds us that relationships thrive not on complete exposure but on mutual respect, care, and a deep understanding of timing. Think back to the moments in your life where you truly connected with someone. Were those bonds built in an instant? Or did they grow over time, layer by layer, as trust was earned and shared truths were carefully unveiled? Real connections are not rushed. They're cultivated with intention, like a gardener tending to a delicate flower. When we protect certain parts of ourselves, it's not a sign of withholding love, it's an act of safeguarding it. By allowing the right moments to unfold naturally, we don't just build stronger relationships, we build relationships that last. Now, picture this: a world where every interaction is rooted in authenticity, yet mindful of boundaries. A world where we honor both our own stories and those of the people we care about. This is the kind of love C.S. Lewis believed in, one that prioritizes the good of the other, without losing sight of the value within ourselves. But here's the most important takeaway: this wisdom isn't just about protecting what you keep private, it's about knowing when to let someone in. It's about creating a space where vulnerability becomes a bridge, not a burden. And when you master this balance, you unlock the true power of love, one that's free from fear and full of purpose. As you reflect on this journey, I encourage you to ask yourself, what are the treasures in your own heart that deserve to be shared? And with whom? Who has earned the privilege of seeing the truest version of you? And how can you nurture your relationships with both courage and wisdom? If this message resonated with you, imagine how many others might find solace and strength in these truths. Share this video with someone you care about, someone who could benefit from these insights. Together, let's create a ripple effect of wisdom and love that reaches far beyond ourselves. And if you found value here today, consider subscribing to LWN YouTube. This isn't just a channel, it's a community where we simplify life's greatest complexities, inspired by the timeless guidance of C.S. Lewis. Join us, and let's continue exploring these profound ideas together. Your story matters. Your voice matters. And together we can build a world where love, trust, and wisdom illuminate the path forward. Thank you for being part of this journey.